Hey everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday for January the 22nd, 2020. So this is a chart of the Nasdaq and it's zooming higher still, and the chart of the All Ords in Australia is equally as impressive. If you have a look at the individual stocks, all the big cap stocks in America just seem to be making new high after new high. All of them except for Amazon. Amazon's lagging the market. Hasn't reached newer highs yet. So a lot of the stocks I talked about a lot last year, your Apples, your Googles, your Nikes, AMD, Amgen, all those stocks, they're just trending higher. In Australia, FMG up has broken out, and it's it's one of the leading stocks now. And a lot of all the mining stocks perked up. Rio, BH, CBA also poked its head above resistance this week, and it really is seems to be the strongest of all the banks. If we look at this on let's just get rid of my stuff here. If we look at this on a monthly chart, we just clean it up. Okay, it's not a bearish chart whatsoever. Okay, it's the sort of stock that breaks out a little bit, pulls back a bit, and there's no way that you could have a bearish case for that, I believe. Anyway, it's definitely stronger than all the other banks. Okay, now, sorry guys. Now the title of the talk today was "It's a bull market," and this is a quote taken from the famous book "Reminiscences of a Stock Operator," which I talked about a bunch of times, including last week. Now, in the book, there's this young trader, and he is in a good position. The position's rallied high, and he goes up to an old timer who's been trading for most of his life, and he asks this old timer should he sell it because he can buy it back on a retracement at a lower price. The old timer doesn't give him a straight answer. He's a bit aloof. He just keeps saying it's a bull market, and what he's really getting at there is that if you own if you own the best merchandise out there, hold on to it. If it's a bull market, don't get shaken out by a natural correction that's bound to happen. This is the stock market, everything corrects. But if it's in a strong uptrend, it's going to correct and it's going to go up again, and don't get shaken out. And it's similar to Frank Watkins gave me some advice back in 04, 05, where he was saying that in bear market, when you have a broad bear market, you need to kind of make excuses to sell your long positions on when they rally. Whereas it's the opposite in a bull market. You really want to sit with your winners for as long as possible. And I try and just remind myself of Frank's advice all those years ago, and the advice, the wisdom in this book, because it's so true. When you find yourself in a bull market, and when you find yourself with some of the winning, in really good trends in some of the best stocks, sit tight, sit on your ass, and just let them do their thing. Back when I started trading, I remember I used to do stupid things, like I'd have a plan. I remember one time I was long Woodside in 04 or something like that, and I had a plan to not sell it unless it went below its 100 or 150 day moving average, I forget. And one day I woke up, gapped about 4%, and I sold it. I thought I was being smart. It was idiotic. I took a small profit when I should have taken a huge profit if I had just sat on my ass and not done a thing. And so I'm sure we've all done that. I'm sure a lot of us continue to do that, and it is probably one of the main reasons that people don't fulfill their goals and don't do as well as they should. And so it all comes back to following your plan, and it all comes back to your mind. If you find yourself doing things like that, then you have a psychological issue. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. We all do have psychological issues. You just need to work on the mental aspect of the game, and you will overcome it and do much better. So just going to flick through this watch list that I talked about at the start of January. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what's happening here. There we go. Let's just get back. Okay, AIS I'm long now, I'm sitting tight on that one. Coop I'm still long. Hills I've sold half. This line here, and the rest I'm sitting tight on. IGO have not entered. I'm still kind of just waiting for that to set up. There's a bit of a pennant or flag, whatever, forming here. I'm probably going to leave that, guys. I've got way too many open positions at the moment. So KGN, I did not enter, as I talked about last week. I wanted this to form more of a right side and tighten up for longer. It didn't. I also would never enter a trade a couple of days before earnings announcement. So, I've talked about this before, but before you put a trade on, always try and figure out when its next earnings announcement comes out. And if it's coming up within the next week or so, just don't put a trade on. Okay, if you enter a trade a day or 2 or 3 or 4 before an earnings announcement, you're gambling. There's no way to predict that stuff. I just leave them alone, and I'll let everything settle post earnings announcement before making a decision. So hopefully no one entered KGN. Now still long that one. The video's still long. Huari, watch him, wait in. PH, I'm still long. SCI, wait in. Shop still long. I've taken half off, about a third off a shop. Tesla, I've taken a bit off, but I'm still long. Twilio, I've taken half off, but still long. So I just rushed through those because I've got a bunch of other stuff I will want to get through. So that's that covered. Now moving on quickly. I'm going to do a scan, a weekly Dallas box scan, which I do quite frequently. Just going to show a few stocks which I'm watching carefully in Aussie, which are kind of new ones which have just popped up. ILU, this is a weekly chart of ILU. It's obviously a mining stock. I like this rectangular base. It's horizontal rectangular base that's forming. We've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in there. It's really starting to tighten up on the weekly chart and the daily chart. I'm going to be watching that carefully for a break. I'm just going to obviously check if it's got an earnings announcement or anything like that coming out soon, but I'm liking the setup happening on ILU. S32, I think Frank talked about this guy. Also watching him just because we've had some pretty good moves in other mining stocks and material stocks. I would love this guy to form a bit more of a right side to this base, so I just want this to come around here over the next week or two, form a little handle and then break up, and to me then that would be a much better setup than it is this very second. If it breaks out tomorrow, the day after, I'm going to miss that one, but if it forms just a bit more of a right hand side, I will grab it. Another one I'm stalking in Australia is Smart Park NSPZ. I mean, this thing hardly does any. I need to figure out whether or not it's a bit of a liquid for me, but on a weekly chart, it certainly looks good. I like that setup. I have to do some research into that, but anyway, that's a decent setup on a weekly chart. And another little one I was looking at was SVY, which is forming a pretty tight ascending triangle here after breaking this channel. And so, yeah, look, I mean, it's getting towards the tip of that ascending triangle, which which isn't great, but it's it's a decent tight pattern there. I'm going to be watching that closely for a breakout if it happens soon. Okay, but I'm going to be ruthless with that one. I either get a violent breakout on it, or I'm going to cut it pretty much the same day I enter it. Okay, so there are a few I'm stalking. Now in America, it's so extended, I'm kind of just sitting tight with everything. The only new setup I'm going to find some cash for is DNT. Okay, this came up in a Sam Starvis box. These are all inside bars inside this formation candle. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inside bars inside this formation candle. It's like pretty much my favorite setup when that happens. I love these inside bars. I have the stats hiding away on the win rate of these. Personally, from all the ones I've traded, and it's about 63.5% to 64%. So that is way higher than most other win rates in terms of my own personal stuff. I mean, a lot of the patterns I trade have a win rate of like 50%, but but 50% is beautiful because you make so much more from your winners than you lose on your losers. that you can make really good money. But these inside bars, inside the formation candle, they really have a high win rate according to my records, which I keep pretty meticulously. Okay, now okay, so the other thing I'm doing at the moment, I'm just going to quickly rattle through a few of the global marijuana stocks. Okay, we had CGC on the NISI, Breakout from this ascending triangle on big volume, and now we're kind of consolidating. I'm watching this guy closely. There's a bit of a short squeeze going on. I forget the short float. It was pretty high. It was like 60. I forget. I'm not gonna. I forget that. I'd have to look that up again. But it's a pretty high short float. We're having a bit of a short squeeze, and I'd love for this to consolidate for a few more days and then break out. But I'm watching that one. It could fly. In Australia, we've had, obviously, I think most of you will know what's happened with CAN, but it's just gone nuts, and that's kind of impressive. And so obviously it's too late for CAN, but I'm just watching this space play out, and I'm looking for consolidation. I just need to be careful. I need to be careful that I don't get FOMO, and you just can't jump into these bloody things. You need to wait for legit setups to form, and if they do form, I'm going to have a crack at them, but I'm going to be patient and not going to preempt stuff. There's a few other weed stocks. SNDL in the States hasn't really had a run yet. I'm watching that one carefully. There's a few in Aussie. I was watching this one, but it looks like it's had a false breakout today. I bet you there's a bunch of people that got caught in that today, so that's pretty, that's life for those people, and ACA as well. Just watching all these weed stocks carefully. I want them to base, consolidate, and then have another breakout, and then we could, maybe we're just getting started on those. I'm just going to keep an open mind on the weed stocks. Okay, now I'm just going to do a weekly Davis scan. So what I do, I go up here and then I press Davis box. Now let's just first of all do it on ASX data. Okay, we'll do 30, interest to 20. On the ASX, we'll press any box, and I've got. Okay, so I've just got it set really low, 50,000. It's going to pretty much show up all the Davis boxes on the ASX, on the weekly Davis boxes on the ASX. So that's finished. Okay, so what I do this scan a couple times a week. I like the weekly Davis scans. They're awesome. And then I just, obviously get my watch list on, blah blah blah, and then I scan through it really quickly, just every week, just looking for tight Davis boxes which are forming. Okay, and if I see something that I like, in the millisecond that I keep my screen on it, I will pause. Okay, so FPH, I've traded this stock a bunch of times. It's a really good company. It's forming a pretty tight Davis box here. Let's flick to the daily. Okay, the daily looks nice as well. So let's just whack the moving averages on. Obviously the stock's a little bit extended from its 100-day, but it's it's caught up to its 21-day, and it's 50 days catching up. And so this stock is consolidating nicely. We'll consolidate for a bit longer. Obviously another couple of weeks would be ideal. Then it could be a pretty sweet setup. So we'll whack that into the watch list. It already is, so I can't put it in twice. Now I'm going to keep just rattling through. I just really run through these really quickly. I don't really like the look of any of these. Just any Davis box that's loose and has a wild loose base, I just move on. That one I'll definitely whack Origin in. This one's some boring income thing, not interested in that stuff. So I just rattle through this so quick. SPK weekly Davis box. This thing's sitting at all-time highs. Not all-time highs. We're fixed on monthly data. That looks amazing. Okay, it's obviously a slower moving stock than stuff I usually trade, but there can be no arguing the significance of this base. And so that's in my watch list already, and I'm going to consider that one for my longer term account, not my short term momentum account, but that's a nice setup. Okay, and that is I won't flick through the rest of these because I need to keep this talk pretty short, but this is what I do a few times a week, and most of these scan boxes that come up I'm not interested in, but there's always a couple which I like, and I whack them into the list. So now I'm just going to quickly do the same one on NASDAQ data. Okay, so that scan's finished on NASDAQ data. This stock came up, FAST. I flick to a daily. Okay, it's a decent base here after this gap up, which never got closed. Sorry about that, guys. And it's sitting in Davis box, so this can get whacked in my watch list, and then I just flick through. There's only a few other ones in here. Most of these stocks not interested in. That one looks pretty. No, that's a Bancorp. That's pretty boring. Okay, so HINE, the Haynes Celestial Group. This is forming a nice, pretty tight Davis box there. You look at it on the daily chart, that looks nice, and the weekly chart looks awesome. So the Davis box scanner, it's a brilliant tool. It always finds good setups, good bases, and it's just a must for anyone that, any member of Pro Trader. It's just a go-to scan on a weekly basis. Okay, so before I leave you, a few more things. Sorry guys, let me just find the right thing. There's a stock on the NASDAQ called GBTC, which is a Bitcoin. It follows the price of Bitcoin. Probably not explaining that well. Anyway, setting up on that's a 4-hour chart. Apologies. Let me just try and get a daily chart up. This chart's not as good as the Pro Trader one. For some reason, this one doesn't come up in the Pro Trader system. So anyway, this stock is setting up GBTC on the NASDAQ, and I do a lot of currency trading as well as stocks, and just thought I'd point something out that's what some people might find interesting, but the loonie or the USD Canadian cross is setting up on a daily and weekly and 4-hour charts there. Okay, and so I won't go into too much details. I love trading the loonie. It gives lovely pattern after lovely pattern on 4-hour and daily charts. It's probably my favorite forex cross to position trade. And the last thing I was just going to quickly chat about was okay, so the last thing I was going to chat is this is one of my favorite podcasts. It's called the Alpha Mind Podcast. It's run by a trader / trading coach. He was a trader for many years, so he knows what it's like to actually trade. He's not one of those guys who just coaches or does stuff and never actually trades. He's a real trader, and he also he's now a coach, and he just knows his stuff, and he has some awesome podcasts on the mental side of the game. I've listened to every single one of them. Sometimes I find good ones and listen to them many times. If you're working hard on your trading and you want to fill a few gaps, you need kind of the icing on top of the cake, then you should be spending more time on this and less time staring at charts. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.